Did you know that there are several monastic organizations, monastic orders within Christianity in which the monks and nuns abstain from eating meat? Well, if you didn't, I will teach you about one today, the Carthusians. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Threpticon. Today we're going to talk about the Carthusians, a meat abstaining order of monks. So here I have a brief history of the Carthusians. They were founded in 1084 by Saint Bruno of Cologne, a prominent theologian. So he was a very learned gentleman. He wrote books. He had a vast knowledge of scripture and theology. So it's very different from other sort of meat abstaining orders we've seen, like for example, the Minims, which were a branch of the Franciscans, and they had avowed poverty, but here it's a more learned order. So the emphasis of the Carthusians has been, still is, silence, contemplation, solitude. They spend most of their time sort of alone, and then once a week they hang out together. But they're known for their simple white habit, here pictured here with Saint Bruno. And as I said, they get together once a week in what's called the spaziamentum. When they break their silence, they go for a long walk together, which is rather nice. Kind of like the peripatetic philosophers like Aristotle. He would walk with his students around the Lyceum, and they would discuss philosophy. And here I imagine they discuss theology. So they abstain from meat. It's part of their practice. They abstain completely from meat, sometimes eggs and milk. Fish, seems to be where they have the most trouble. This has changed over time, and we'll see that. Um, so this is from the Catholic Encyclopedia. So Peter the Venerable, who was from the 1100s, right? Peter the Venerable adds certain details, lays stress on the poorness of their garments, and mentions that they restricted their possessions both in land and cattle, and fixed their number at 13 monks, 18 lay brothers, and a few servants. Of their diet, he says, they always abstain from the eating of meat, whether in health or ill. They never buy fish, but accept them if given in charity. Cheese and eggs are allowed on Sundays and Thursdays. On Tuesdays and Saturdays, they eat cooked vegetables, but on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, they take only bread and water. They eat once a day only, save at Christmas, Easter, Pentecost, Epiphany, and on certain other festivals. On feast days, they go to the refectory, eat twice, and sing the whole office in the church. This is very interesting. They're kind of on a 1 meal a day diet, kind of a interesting, free vegetarian kind of diet, free pescatarian, kind of flexitarian regime, but more on the vegetarian side. I mean, it says fish were only there if given, but that's just what Peter the Venerable is saying. Um, for example, this is a current monastery um, of Carthusians because they're still around, not very many, but they're still around. And here there's kind of a FAQ page, and it says meat eating question mark. We do not eat meat. Perpetual abstinence from meat. At least that they're solid on that. No meat, never meat. But the catch, of course, is fish. This yeah, once again, people in the Middle Ages they didn't believe fish were animals. Oddly enough, they thought like the Cathars, for example, thought that they weren't produced by sexual reproduction, that they spontaneously um, spawned in the water. Um, so there's a lot of fish are kind of a loophole. Let's see. Let's say, for example, Erasmus writes this dialogue, "The Soldier and the Carthusian," and once again, we're going, I believe, to the 1500s, so we're skipping ahead a few hundred years. And here, the Carthusians are known for eating a lot of fish. So we can read this dialogue. The Carthusian monk says, I don't seem to live in the world. I don't seem to you to live in the world now. The soldier says, no, by Jove, you don't. Carthusian says, why, if you please? The soldier says, because you're not free to walk about wherever you like. You're shut up in this place as if in a cage. Besides, there's the tonsure, the unnatural dress, the solitude, and the constant diet of fish. I marvel you're not turned into a fish. And the Carthusian replies, if men turned into everything they ate, your fondness for pork would have made you a pig long ago. Anyway, so kind of a back and forth, playing on the idea of you are what you eat, and he's saying you would be a fish because you eat so much fish. Um, So we've gone a lot. We've gone a lot downhill. I mean, from Peter the Venerable, it says they only accept fish when given fish, and here it's saying this Carthusians basically on a fish diet. Um, but once again, according to Erasmus, who we shouldn't trust entirely. So the Carthusians are still around today, only numbering about 350 people, but they're still around. Um, so here's my question: why does it seem that communities get more lax over time, or that they make more compromises, such as adding fish? Because, like I said, they were very strict at the beginning, um, and they seem to have gotten a little more relaxed as time goes on. Why do you think that is? All right, that's everything I have for today. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.